Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to another weekly analysis video. On the screen other pairs will be analyzing today, but make sure you stay to the end of the video, guys. I do have a bonus pair in store, so make sure you stay to the end to find out which pair that is. But yeah, guys, welcome back to another video. I will go through my trades for the week first, so if there is a specific pair you want to jump ahead to, feel free using timestamps. I had one position this week on pound USD, had another position which I was carrying over from the last week of pound NZD, which I did do a full breakdown video on that, so make sure you go check that out on my channel now. But yeah, so over to pound NZD. Okay, so yeah, this is pound NZD. This is the position I had coming from last week, coming into this week. It did hit my first target last week, so I was break even. That took my partials. I was looking for price to go and hit my extended target around 1.96, which is coming to some levels there on the left. However, price unfortunately pulled back just before we got there and seen some downside. So I've taken 90% of my profit because my main target was these highs here. So I have secured majority of my profit, but I'm leaving 10% to run because looking at the higher time frames, there's a good probability we could move higher. We're seeing some rejection here, so it may come back down and stop me at break even, which is completely fine as well. I've already taken most of my profit. So yeah, pound NZD was a really nice trade coming into this week, and then I also hopped into some shorts on pound USD. So this is my short on pound USD, moving pretty well. It was quite corrective when I hopped into the trade, as you can see, but recently has picked up some nice momentum. So again, like pound NZD, this one has hit my first target, which was these lows here. So I have secured some partials and gone break even, looking for price to go and hit my overall target, which is back down at these lows here. So hopefully we can see that continuation going into next week. Again, pound USD is one of the pairs that we'll analyze later in the video, so I'll do a full analysis on this one. There's some areas there that I think pound USD's got a good chance to get into as well. But yeah, only one position this week. Again, keeping it simple. The markets wasn't really favorable for me. I was looking at the yen pairs quite a lot. Didn't quite see the retracement I wanted on the full H. And pound USD was a pair that I originally was not focusing on, but it materialized into a really good setup. Got my nice entry on the hourly, and things are looking decent. So on to next week's analysis now. Okay, so on to EURUSD. So for EURUSD, we've always had that bearish bias, and the market has still been moving to downside very, very correctively. I've not been a fan of EURUSD. The structure has been more or less pretty clear. You know, we can see the big breaker structure here. We have broken out this bigger uptrend here with these higher lows connected with that trend line, and we also broke through this prior support level term resistance and actually did retest it. So structure has been pretty clear. We can see the lower lows and lower highs. However, we've been lacking some momentum ever since we spilled to the downside from NFP. The market's just been very, very corrective, and I have not been a fan of this structure, so I haven't really been looking to trade EURUSD. We have picked up some type of momentum, but in terms of the grand scheme of things, it is not much. So for EURUSD, I still want to see a lot more retracement before I look to short this one. In terms of direction and bias for EURUSD, is definitely short side. Not looking to long this pair at all anymore. Still looking for us to push it into this support level. We might see a nice bounce from that level there. But all these prior lows that the market was making will just be our targets now going forward. So this low here, first target 1.05, second low 1.0449. We've got this low here will be a nice target at 1.03, and we've also got this low here as well, which is 1.02300, something like that. So all these lows on the left will just be our targets as we head down. Well, I expect the market to head down anyway, as long as we maintain this bearish structure. These will be the targets we just be looking to tick off as we go down. So EURUSD looking for setups as we've broken out that bigger channel to the upside, broken through that key support as well. All we're looking for is the next lower high in the market. You can see we've got a lower high there, lower high, potential new low. We might retrace, we might go a little bit further, but you can see the market's making new lows. So now what we want to see is retracement for EURUSD, some pullbacks, and the continuation lower. Two areas that look fairly good. Probably EURUSD probably won't make my watch list, but if I was looking to trade, I'd probably focus my attention on these two levels here. That support level term resistance at 1.06322 and also 1.07 as well. So these areas look decent. Obviously the prior low and obviously the prior resistance, these areas will be acting as resistance. So if you can see some good rejection, some good confirmations, these will make up for some really nice levels to trade from. And targets, you can pick kind of any one of these levels. Obviously the further down it is, the less likely price will actually get there. Just tidy this up. So this is the most obvious target, and this is the furthest target really, which may even take a few weeks for us to get there depending how price moves. But 1.05, we're not too far away. We could see EURUSD spill over at the start of the week and then retrace. So then we just probably target the same level. If the market just retraces straight away, then we can either target the low or this level here. So hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, EURUSD just looking for shorts. Clear bearish structure. We snap through the higher time frame. Support level. If I even go to the higher time frames like the weekly and the monthly, we're expecting potentially a new major low high forming from this crazy bearish leg here. This is the retracement phase, and we could be snapping bearish again, potentially coming back to those lows. So we could really see a big trend starting to form. So all our job now, swing traders, even day traders as well, is just looking for those lower highs and then shorting back down at good areas of confidence. So keep an eye on 1.06300 and also 1.07. And targets for next week will be 1.05, but if we start pushing past that, these lows here will be our targets as well. So that's my analysis going forward for EURUSD next week. Okay, so now over to USD JPY. So for this pair, looking pretty bullish this week as expected. We're looking for more upside for this pair ever since we got that really nice reversal, breaking out this bearish descending channel here, creating those lower lows and lower highs. Finally broke to the upside with some good momentum. So this week I was looking for the pullbacks into these areas. Again, just never really got the retracement in the end. Price kind of was very corrective this week. This pretty much sums up the price actually until Friday, until we saw that big breakout to the upside. So really nothing this week for USD JPY until Friday. So I was actually hoping we could break to the downside out of the consolidation, maybe take out some lows, retest some structure, and then push. Price had a big wick there within the range, and then use that liquidity to keep moving to the upside. But nothing's really changed. Still looking for more upside for this one. Just waiting for some good pullbacks. So this area will still be an area of interest for me. Again, still unretested, so I'm still more than happy to go long here. But of course, that will be a that'll be a pretty big retracement for us to get there. So also this area does look good now. Obviously, this is just where we had the breakout from with some good momentum. Obviously, connecting these higher lows here. So one back here, second one there, and the third one. So 1, 2, and 3 with all of these kind of wicks here. Big wick to the downside, that kind of funded the move to the upside. Big wick to the downside, that funded the move to the upside. So hopefully we can get something of the sort back into this area. Nice rejection and then continuation to the upside. My targets this week for USD JPY have been this resistance up here around 137,500. So there's still some mileage to the upside. You can see a lot of supply here. Big move to the upside. I think we could probably see some rejections around there for USD JPY. So that could make up for a really good target for this one, around 137,500. And also, like I said, if we do have a crazy pullback, I'm still bullish on this one from around 132, 133 as well. But I doubt we'll see something like that next week. So this setup here, over here is probably our best setup going forward for USD JPY. So yeah, that's the analysis going forward. Still bullish, still creating higher highs and higher lows. We're still seeing some good momentum for USD JPY. So more than happy to look for pullbacks and follow that momentum to the upside. Targets for next week, 137,500. Keep an eye on 133 down here, but more importantly, 135,210. Okay, so over to USD CAD. So USD CAD started flying to the upside this week as expected. We did actually have a retest of this level here, which I was actually looking for price to come lower. I said I wasn't a fan of this level for the retest because it was so shallow. I wanted the price to have a little bit deeper retracement into this level. Didn't happen. Market did retest that level and started flying, unfortunately. So I did miss this USD CAD long. However, I do think we can get some good opportunities into next week. We're still looking at price coming to take up these highs here, in the higher time frames. If I quickly just go on to like the weekly or something, you can see we are very consistent with these higher lows ever since back here, May 2021. You can see consistent higher lows. Completely just missed the higher low there. So consistent high lows, and we're still doing that as well. So I'm expecting price to at least come back and retest the resistance, most likely break through and probably come back and retest the highs up here. So that's the plan there for USD CAD long term. And take that information to the 4H, we can already see we do have a bullish trend here. We have some equal lows here. The market creates some highs, broke through those highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and so on and so forth. So now we're just looking for some good places to pull back into and buy it back up. Down here would be a fantastic place if the market was to come back again into that level around 1.34730. If I get a lovely Fibonacci out, you can see that is 50% retracement from that original spike to the downside to this new high that the market just created. So this will be probably my preferred level to go long from. Whether we trace there or not, again, it's up to USD CAD. Another level we could potentially look at is this high here as well. If the market doesn't really have too much juice to the downside, we might see a bit more shallow retracement, retest the high there, and then see the upside from roughly around that level. It's got some good confluence. You can see connecting these higher lows. We've got 1 over here, 2, 3, and then potentially 4 as well. So these two levels look good, 1.35625 and also this level. Again, me liking my deeper retracements and bigger pullbacks. This is probably my preferred level. But again, we might not see that. For the JPY pairs this week, we saw a lot of shallow retracements and a lot of strong upside movement. So I didn't really get the pullbacks I was after, and we could be seeing that again here with USD CAD. So keep an eye on these two levels. Both look good with confluence. Just need to see some good entry signals out them before looking to trade them. And like I said, targets for these guys is literally just back to highs, back to where we came from. Numerous rejections around here, around 1.37, big psychological level. I'll be expecting price to at least go and test that level this week. We may even break through depending on momentum and how everything looks. Like I said, we've got highs up here. The market could be looking to push into long term, so we may even see a breakout. But yeah, USD CAD, big weight to the upside. Most likely we'll see retracement now for USD CAD, so keep an eye on 1.35696 and also 1.34700, but targets will be at 1.369 for next week. Okay, so over to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound this week, huge dump to the downside on Tuesday. Yeah, big move to the downside with a lot of impulsive behavior. And since we saw that move, I've actually been leaning towards the sell side. We haven't technically broke through structure yet. You know, this is still our low that gave us this crazy move to the upside, breaking through this high and that high. So this is still a very important high. But I can tell based on how the market's moving here that we most likely will not go past these highs here. We most likely will see a lower high and roll over. We had this impulsive behavior which turned into corrective behavior, had a correction back down and then an impulse back down. This is a big sign that the bulls are failing to push higher. You know, you expect to see impulsive behavior continue higher if the market is going to go higher. Sure, we can have retracements, but having an impulse back in another direction, sweeping out these lows is not a good sign at all. So I'm actually going to be leaning towards the sell side of things for Euro Pound going forward until we break through this high here. So this high at 0.89284, break through that, I'll stand corrected and see if I can find any long positions. But right now I'm definitely focused for the short. So hopefully you can see a bit more upside. You can already see the corrective behavior we're seeing right now is also a good sign for the sells as well. Nice impulse, correction to the upside, tag that area, that'd be very nice. Around 0.88700. Also got some really good fib confluence there, I believe, into the 0.618 as well yet. So looking very good. All we just need to see is a retracement into that area and good rejections for some entries. Target wise, again, probably just keep it simple. If I can get 1 to 3 into those lows, I'm more than happy to take my profit there. Might look at this low here because this is an important low, so there's a good chance we could come and tap into that low as well. So that could be a nice target, but I'll probably keep it simple back down to those prior lows. I'm just looking for lower high or high over there, lower high, and get the third lower high there, around 0.88700. So that's the plan for next week. We'll be focused on entries around that area. There's no other good entry area for me, so it's only that level I'll be looking at. And like I said, if we break through those highs, then I'll look to change my bias and create some new analysis. But right now we are looking for some sales back down into 0.878 for next week. Okay, so AUDUSD up next. So for this one, we're actually starting to pick up some momentum now, which is what I've been craving for AUDUSD. I've been speaking about the consolidation here. We had a slight breakout to the downside last week. I said I wasn't really too happy with that. Came back in the range. So I said, if we can see momentum pick up again, I'll be more than happy to look to short the pullbacks. And that's exactly what's happened. We had a fairly corrected breakout, but since then the market has really picked up some momentum and really taken out some key lows here. So for me, AUDUSD, all we're looking for is pullbacks to catch that next lower high. We have a really nice bearish trend line here as well, connecting those lower highs. As you can see, 1, 2, 3. Now we're looking for the fourth one coming back into this area, coming to retest that price support and resistance as well. And targets, we're looking at the price for the low. This low here funded this big move to the upside. So simply looking for the market to come back and retest that level. Again, I've been speaking about AUC shorts for quite some time, especially from the higher time frames, especially the weekly. You can see we have these major swing highs here in the market. So we've got one over there, second one over here, and we're looking for the third one right over here. And if I'm correct, we should be most likely anyway coming back down to these lows again. We shouldn't do anything, but in terms of probability anyway, if the market structure continues, you expect us to return to the price from the lows. And we've also had a really nice rejection of that price support level here, turn resistance. So I'm expecting AUSD from a weekly point of view to continue this bearish move we're seeing on the 4H back down to these lows at 0.62. So for me, for the next kind of few weeks, maybe a couple months, I don't know how long it'll take us to get there, we're looking for those lower highs and shorting it upon confluence. So yeah, AUSD next week, this looks like a really good setup. Hopefully we can retrace there. It's looking extremely bearish, but again, the market's quite overextended now after taking out some key lows. So I do think we're due a retracement anyway. So hopefully we can come back and retest this level here at 0.68143. And targets, keep it fairly simple, back down to that prior low at 0.6645. So that's my outlook on AUSD into next week. Okay, so over to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD is still kind of continuing this corrective behavior down past these lows. I was expecting us to see some retracement to the upside this week. However, we haven't quite seen that. I'm not really too interested in shorting the market down here. Like I said last week, this level is still probably my main focus because we have some good momentum here when we had the breakout, some really nice support and resistance there as well. And it's kind of well away from that kind of corrective behavior there. So I did say for NZD CAD, if we got back above these lows here, there'd probably be some nice buys because we had this correct move down. If we break above this level, probably get a nice buy back up into there. Didn't quite see that, had a lot of rejection around those highs. The market actually came back down from them. So we're actually still seeing the market continue something like this. And actually, if we do see some new lows past this point here, so if you take out those lows there, let me just change the style of that. So if you do take some lows out here, then I do favor some shorts, possibly on another pullback for the downside, because we're getting some really nice lower highs if the momentum can pick up. So something like this, a retest of that support level there. Let me get rid of this now, don't need it anymore. So a retest of this support level here would be nice. You can see consolidation there, broke to downside, good momentum. If we can take out those lows there as well, a nice little pullback into that high, that could also be a very nice setup going into next week. But again, it's a lot of if, buts, and maybes because we need price to continue that momentum and take out these lows. If we start dancing at that support, it doesn't become a good opportunity anymore. So we need price to continue that momentum, pull back for us, and then we get those shorts. Or better yet, just have that bigger pullback anyway, well away from that consolidation kind of area, retesting some key structure, maybe map out the next major lower highs, sorry. We've got one over here, second one there, could see a third one form before potentially a bigger collapse to the downside. So could be seeing 1, 2, 3, and then a big reversal. So this level up here is still a good area of interest. And targets, again, probably just using the lows here. You can see the market has been creating a lot of these lows just on the way down because there's no real target to aim for apart from the lows. So we'll probably just use the levels here on the left. So since we have tapped into this level, the next key area is 0.83 100. So that'll be the next target for NZD CAD. Again, this pair is still quite correct, so unless I see something like that, I probably won't be looking at this pair in too much detail next week. There are other pairs that look a lot better, but we'll see because things can change. Pound USD this week, I wasn't really too interested, and then something changed, and it was the only pair that I traded this week. So things can happen, and we have to stay adaptive. So that's the plan for next week for NZD CAD. Targets either the prior low, or we're looking at this next low here at 0.831. Areas of interest, only this level if we see the lows taken out. At 0.84 100, and if you see a bigger pullback, then I'm looking at 0.856 going into next week. Okay, so over to pound NZD. So yeah, still trading this one, still looking for more upside, and again the bias is still pretty bullish with pound NZD. You can see the higher lows the market has been creating here. Since we formed at the low down here, the market has been pretty steady to the upside with some nice pullbacks and some nice high lows. We've also broken through this high here as well. So there's kind of two areas I'm looking at for pound NZD. This area here was still kind of bouncing on. If we can come back there, throw some more wicks to the downside, some more rejection, that could be a very nice level to go long from upon some confirmation. So what is that, 1.93? That's still the first area of interest, well, not too far away from that level as well. So could be seeing some trades early on the week. And also we could see a bigger pullback because you remember this is the low that we formed since we had that big fake out to the upside, above this kind of corrective channel. This is our major lower high, giving us these major lows. Since then, we've broken through structure. You can see confident closes with impulsive behavior above those highs. So if I whip out the old Fibonacci tool from the low to the high, you can see we've got a really nice confluence with the 50% coming into this key level, which is originally where I was looking to long from pound NZD. So we might actually see price break out this trend line here, break out that support, come a little bit deeper, tap into this level, and then see the big push to the upside. So here, I'll be more than happy to go long as well. This is still a good area. I do like this level as well, and this potentially could give us a really good risk reward as well. So 1.91787, this level here, stop loss below. I'll be more than happy to go long from as well. And targets will keep it simple, back to highs. I'm also looking at extended target here, but in terms of just trading, look for the next trade, you know, you probably want to take your profit up at these highs here. This is where we had a pretty hefty rejection from. So yeah, pound NZD going to next week, two levels of interest, 1.191888, which is this key level here. You can see bunch of resistance, 1, 2, 3 was briefly resistance there as well. So we'll be expecting that. It hasn't actually acted as support yet. We broke through. They've actually had a retest of that level, so that's a good confluence too. So that would probably be my favored setup because it's deeper, better risk reward as well, back to those highs. But also we could see a shallow retracement, some more rejection around this level at 1.93. And get the continuation to the upside anyway. So keep your eyes on pound NZD. This one probably will be on my watch list again next week. So I'm keen to see what happens with this one. But yeah, that's my analysis going ahead into next week. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, again, another Yen pair. We're still expecting more upside here, consistent high lows for CAD Yen. However, this week we pretty much just got consolidation. Price looks like it may be breaking to the upside out of the consolidation, but it hasn't quite done that yet. So for CAD Yen, this is still my area of interest. I said it would be nice if price can take out these lows here, these weak lows, tap into our level, and then see the move. We kind of did see that happen. Price did go past, you know, these lower time frame support levels, did wick here, but didn't quite wick into my level of interest where I would have looked to go long. We had some really nice confluence up around that area, and all these high lows, 1, 2, 3 of that trend line. Retest that support, I would have looked to go long, but unfortunately missed it by a few pips, and actually that was during the Asian session anyway, so I wouldn't have been awake to catch it if I wanted to. But nonetheless, we're still expecting more upside for CAD Yen. This still will be an area of interest for me if the market would come back down to this area. Still got good confluence, we still broke with good momentum, so that would still be a level that fits my criteria to go long. Still looking at pushing to the resistance here. This is where the supply came from, similar target as we have with USD JPY. Back to that resistance, huge move to the downside from that. It could be a bit more of a short-term play for CAD Yen on the lower time frames, maybe like 30, 50 minute for a break and retest with high of the range into that level. Again, something like that. Probably got what, 50 pips to work with. Let's get the measuring tool out from the low there. So yeah, 50 or bang on 50 almost. So yeah, around 50 pips to work with. So on the lower time frames, you could probably look for a nice little break and retest into that level. But for me, I do want to see a bigger pullback for CAD Yen. So this still remains my level of interest. We're coming back into those levels there. So we might do something like this. Open bullish for CAD Yen, get the breakout, retest, and then potentially pull back the second half of the week. And then probably look for continuations later on. So that kind of is what I'm looking for CAD Yen. But on the lower time frames, you might be able to squeeze a short-term buy-in into that resistance. We might go higher. There's some levels up here we could hit, but you know, you want to be able to take some profit into that resistance just in case price comes back down again. So yeah, that's the analysis going forward for CAD Yen. Still bullish, still looking for these higher lows, still a good confluence here around 98,900. Can look for the break and retest above the 100 level, but I would say make sure you're on the low time frames just to maximize that risk reward. But yeah, that's the analysis going forward for CAD Yen into next week. Okay, so now we've got pound USD. So pound USD heading to the downside. We're getting some really nice lower highs for this one. As you can see, we had the equal highs up here. Price was struggling to break through that price major swing high. And since then, the market has been printing in major lower highs here. So now I'm expecting price to go and revisit back down at these lows here, which is kind of like the neckline of the big double top pattern. So that's the head and shoulder. So we've got obviously the original push, creating the high, creating the neckline, next high, respecting the previous high. So expecting price to at least come back and retest that support. We could potentially go higher, or if we end up breaking through the support, that's where we expect the real reversal to happen and a bigger move to the downside. And like I said, if you did watch my trade part of the video, earlier in the video, I'm looking for price to come back down to some of these areas here, because because again, if this double top is what I'm thinking it is on the higher time frames, like the weekly and the monthly, this could be the next major lower swing high from this big impulsive movement. We're starting to find some resistance around these areas, respecting price support and resistance. This is a big level support. Market's failing to break through here on the monthly chart as well. This monthly candle is about to close in 3 days and 11 hours. So if we get that bearish engulfing, that could mean a bearish March as well. For push to the downside. So it is looking quite bearish here from the higher time frames as well, and taking that information into the full H, we've already got some nice lower swing highs to work with. So for pound USD next week, you want to see some retracement, because obviously we're coming back into these lows here. You want to see price, make another pullback, another major swing low, and then we can potentially work with some entries on that. And the area that we'll be looking at is this level here. This is where the market was finding some really nice support, big wicks here, also some nice resistance there around 1.20250. Potentially could see the next lower high form around that part, and we also got some good confluence there with that trend line there too. So basically just looking for some pullbacks for CAD, keep saying CAD yen, pullbacks for pound USD. This will probably be the main target to look for, because obviously that's where price did find some major support there. But I do expect us to push back down to 1.16 as well. So you might want to leave small positions to run, because if we are getting some good entries here, we could be catching some major highs that start a big move down. So it would be a decent idea to keep some small positions running if you want to, of course. But for next week, we'll keep it simple back into that level. Sure, we could go lower, but we'll keep it with probability on our side. So 1.185, which is this level here, will be the target. Nice pullback to retest that zone, looking for the next lower high. We've got 1, 2, 3. Let's see if we can get the fourth. And then yeah, looking for some more downside for pound USD going into next week. Okay, so over to pound CAD. So pound CAD for me this week has been a little bit tricky. Price has been in this kind of wedge pattern here with these equal lows and lower highs. I said coming into the week, we've got this pattern here, which normally needs a break, either to the upside or to the downside, and that momentum we can look to follow. We did see a nice break to the upside, however, it was short-lived, and the way we're coming back down does look like the market could be printing another major lower high. If I zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you can see we've got a major high up here, second high over here, and potentially we just printed the third one on the retest of this structure. A really nice support level flipped as resistance. I was looking for the market to come a little bit higher, test the trend line here, accompany with that resistance, but we didn't quite see it. Market's not always perfect, but it has rejected that level quite strongly. So I'm actually looking at more downside for pound CAD back to where we came from into the support level. And if we can see another push to the upside, double top it, that'll be a really nice entry location. Good place to put your stop loss. We may even tag the trend line as well. That'll be a good confluence there. But this is what I'm looking for, pound CAD. Another major lower high forming. We may have already printed it, so kind of back in that range where things get a little bit tricky. There might be some short-term buys, coming back down at the support level, because obviously the market has had a really hard time trying to break through this specific price here, 1.61. So there might be some short-term buys, but I prefer to go with the flow of the market, which it seems to be changing from overly bullish previously to now steadily going bearish. So I'm only going to be looking for some sells for pound CAD, but I'm not really seeing any good entries in this area. It's kind of just a little bit messy. Up here we've got a good stop loss placement, good confluence, and obviously better risk to reward as well. So it makes a lot more sense to wait for another move up than try and look for some smaller entries. Sure, on the low time frames there might be something, but the full H is quite messy around these parts. So pound CAD for me, I'll be waiting to see if we can get a pop to the upside back at 1.64, retest some key levels, maybe tag the trend line, and then looking for a push to that support level. And then what we have is an even bigger wedge pattern. I spoke about this wedge pattern here. Now it looks like we've got an even big one with that trend line and that support level, which eventually either could do something like this or break to the downside. We will have to see. But for me, I'll be focusing on the extremes, which is up at the resistance. Like I said, there might be some short-term buys, but I wouldn't look to do anything too much of that. So yeah, pound CAD going to next week, looking for shorts. 1.64 is my area of interest, and targets back to where we came from at that support level, down at 1.61. Okay, so over to pound yen. So pound yen looks to be forming some nice high lows. Again, we've been pretty bullish on pound yen, and now we've finally got the break to the upside, clearing out all these prior lows. And as you can see, the market is sticking with these high lows here as well. So we're looking for some more upside for pound yen. nice retest of this level, big spike to the downside, also retesting that consolidation there. So it would have been a nice entry, but I think this happened during the Asian session, so like 1 a.m. it would have been a really nice entry candle there, and the market is pushing bullish from that. So as long as these higher lows can still maintain, I'm still expecting more upside. Again, the targets have been given out for pound yen around 164, 500, 165. Looking at this zone here, big support level, broke for a lot of momentum. Looking at price coming back to retest it. So up here, there's nothing that I really want to do with pound yen. I want price to come back down. Maybe there could be some lower time frame entries up there, but it'll come out pretty high. You know, this is definitely where you want to be buying pound yen, and up there, if you're looking to sell, you know, up there is where you want to sell. Here's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So for pound yen, hopefully we can double bottom out at this level here. You know, that was support once. See if we can retest it again, get some more entries around that area. I really do like that wick to the downside, price kind of faking people out first, and then see the momentum in the other direction. In fact, we've actually seen that across all the yen pairs pretty much. So looking good for buys for pound yen. We may not come back down, so maybe one that's already starting to push, where there could be some short-term sells here. Again, we broke with a lot of momentum. This is a key low. We probably will react with that level, so there might be some short-term sells there, but I'm not really too interested. I'm definitely a buyer of pound yen, or at least looking to buy pound yen at least. And 161.798, which is this level here, would be my area of interest. I was talking about this level here, but I'm not too sure if we will retrace down there. I mean, sure, if we do, I'll still consider going long. So I will point it out, but I doubt we'll head back down there. So yeah, main interest level be 161.798, which is where we're trading. You know, previously where we got that bullish move from. I'll keep an eye on 159.884, but yeah, targets we're looking at 164.500 for next week. Okay, so over to gold. So gold's been slowly falling to the downside very correctively. Haven't been a fan of gold. Sure, the structure has been not bad, but it's been very corrective in shallow retracements, which is not really what I'm after. On the lower time frames, we have a bit more joy. 4H, I'm not really liking the structure, so I'm looking at price at 1800, 1810, which price is just about creeped into just before the weekly candle close. I'm looking to see what type of bounces we can get here for gold. Now the structure is still pretty bearish, so I need to see some evidence that the market start to print some higher lows. Oh, don't know what happened there. So I need to see some evidence that the market starting to print some higher lows, breaking through some structure. It's the wrong tool. Breaking through some structure, and then I'll look to follow up momentum to the upside. So only when I start seeing this, I'll be looking for buys. Like I said, I'm not really interested in sell the pair, even though we do have bearish structure here. We well could break through, but I need to see some momentum coming back in for gold, and I'll start looking to short the thing. But right now we're coming to a very good area after this very strong impulse. Retest some support, resistance. I'll see what type of price action we can get here. And if I see some nice break of structures, some nice high lows printing, I'll be looking to see if I can get into one of them. Maybe price might go and retest this low here, and I'll look to buy off from it. So I'm not sure what the setup could look like, because it's still very early stages. We only just test the level. We're still currently bearish. We could still possibly break through the level, but I'm interested in only looking to long the pair right now for gold, which does go against my dollar bias. But I'm just focusing on the market structure right now. If it flips bullish, I'll look to buy it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. But right now the market's still bearish, so we could even break through and I won't even get the setup in the first place. So this is what I'll be focused on for gold. Too corrective for me to sell, so I'm waiting to see if I can get some good bullish structure in. From this 1800, 1810, again, big psychological level as well, good level in the higher time frames. Just need to see if 4H can follow and give us some entries. So that's the plan next week for gold. In terms of targets, probably just looking at these levels here as we go across, depending on risk reward. Not too sure which level I'll choose. If I get 1 to 3, you know, into this level to that level, that'll probably be my target, or maximum we'll look at 1885 up there. So yeah, that's the plan for gold going into next week. And now on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin seen some downside, which was expected. The market was having really hard time, you know, up at this resistance here at 25k. This was our major lower high, which gave us these new lows. Market was really rejecting that high. Numerous wicks there to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wicks there. So the market was really having a hard time. We were expecting to see it move lower. Now for Bitcoin, it's going to be interesting because we are coming to some of these higher lows. You can see the market create the low there, new high, new low, new high. Potentially you could see market do something like this. We could get a corrective move into this level, maybe a breakout, maybe the market starts melting to the downside. So something like that could be developing here with Bitcoin. Again, it's seen some nice downside, but it's not really doing anything crazy. You know, we're not really ripping to the downside momentum like we've seen here, momentum like we saw here, or momentum like we saw here. price is still coming into support levels, which we could still bounce from. So for Bitcoin into next week, I do think some buyers will actually be looking pretty good up at this level here. Got some good confidence with these higher lows, and also this support here taken as support there as well. I do think if the market starts rejecting that level, we'll probably see some nice buys back to where it came from, back into that resistance. And like I said, we might continue this kind of corrective nature until we either break to the downside or we might break to the upside. We do have that kind of infamous level at 30k, which the market may want to go and retest before having the next bearish cycle. So I do kind of have one eye on that level just in case we do start snapping to the upside. But this is what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. So eyes on 22,512. If you start breaking through this, more importantly, start breaking through this low, then sure, the pullbacks will look good for some more downside into these lows here. But only when we start breaking through that structure will I actually start advocating those bigger sells. So yeah, Bitcoin for next week, we'll keep an eye on 22,500, see what type of rejection we can get there. If it looks good, I do think buys maybe on the 4H will look good, back to where we came from at 24,400, 24,800 for next week. Okay, so now onto our bonus pair. Last but not least, we have US30 and indices this week. I have been keeping my eye on the indices, seeing what they've been doing. US30 is looking like we could be seeing some major downside. All the other indices as well, like the major ones, US 500, US 100, they look like they could be looking to start to roll over as well. And especially US 30 as well. You can see these lower highs here, 2, 3. The market came, respected that high there, haven't broken through, seen some momentum to the downside. I'm expecting us to work our way back down to those lows there for US 30 on the higher time frame. So now just taking that information down to the 4H, all we're looking to do is basically just catch these pullbacks and these lower highs. There's two levels that jump out at me. This support level here, which I was talking about a lot on Thursday, didn't quite see the retest, but it's still a good level. So we may potentially take out these weaker lower highs here, potentially push into that level, give us a major lower high, and then roll over. That will be a very nice trade there. And also we might even just retest the structure here because the market is quite bearish. We're seeing some good momentum. We might not have enough juice to actually see that bigger pullback. If we do, obviously we'll look for the shorts there as well. But this level here looks pretty good as well, coming back into that resistance, some nice momentum from that. Retest that structure, targets, we're looking at this major swing low here. This is what gave us this big move to the upside, and since then the market's had numerous attempts trying to break through this resistance, each time failing to do so. Big wicks to the upside, clear evidence that the market's failing to break higher, so most likely we'll move in the opposite direction, which is lower. So we've got this key support level here, which will be the main target for next week. The overall target from the higher time frames, we are looking for a push to these lows all the way down here. But obviously not really going to do that in one go. Sure, if you really want to look to swing a trade, go for even more like a position trade, something, you can look to go for a bit more of a longer term play, but the chances are price could pull back and knock your entry out. So best just if we are going down to these lows, you can probably find 2 or 3 trades on the way down. Just look for those pullbacks, short it, take your risk rewards onto the next trade rather than try and hit the home run. So this is an important level to look out for, which will probably be the target for next week, which is at 32,489. And then if you can break through that, and we can start discussing some lower targets than that. But this is what I'm looking at for US 30 going into next week. So yeah, guys, that is the end of the analysis. Hopefully that has helped you guys out a lot, providing some good guidance into next week. If you are enjoying the content on the channel, please be sure to drop a like on these videos. Really do help out, and make sure you keep yourself in the loop by subscribing to the channel as well. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll catch you all next week.